Hi, this is Diana with your amazing race recap. Teams are leaving Tanzania and on their way to India. Dave and Rachel, Brendan and Rachel, Art and JJ, Mark and Bopper are all on the same flight to India. Vanessa and Ralph take a different flight that is supposed to get them into India sooner. They do arrive sooner, but then they mosey around the airport, not moving very quickly, and voila, all the other teams show up, and there goes their lead. Hint to future racers, if you get to the airport faster than everybody else, run! Alright, so then they get a clue. They have to go to the bus stop and take a bus to, route marker right here, and go to Sacred Heart College. So they go to the Sacred Heart College, and voila, they've got a roadblock, and you have to do Bollywood dance routine for the producer with 30 extras, learn the dance, do the dance, and until the producer says it's good, you don't get your clue. Dave and Rachel. Rachel does the dance in her first try. Really amazing job. I'm really enjoying Rachel. Dave, on the other hand, kind of annoys me because if Rachel doesn't do something perfect the first time, he's not happy. And he's nagging at her and, just picking at her constantly. If she does it perfectly the first time, well, then it's all good job, honey. Other than that, no. They've come in first 5 times now, and he seems like the most ungrateful person. I could not live up to the standard of perfect. I just couldn't, and I don't like having to see somebody else who's a great racer getting picked at by her partner because she's not perfect 24/7. Moving on from that, Vanessa and Ralph finished their dance. Vanessa was the dancer. She finished second. Rachel of Rachel and Brendan finished third. Art and JJ was the dancer. It took him 4 tries to finish the Bollywood dance, but he managed to do it. And then Mark and Bopper was a disaster, and we'll get to that in a minute. Moving on from the Bollywood roadblock, they had to go to the Indian coffee house, get their clue, and then go and do a detour. Now, the detour was cricket or clutch it. In clutch it, you had to drive a rickshaw. Both people had to drive it individually through a little course. It's a grass field with poles in it, basically. And they had to drive it around the poles. Didn't look all that difficult. But I guess learning how to balance the rickshaw or whatever. Dave and Rachel chose that, and they finished. Brendan and Rachel chose cricket, and so did Art and JJ. They go to cricket, and then Vanessa and Ralph go to clutch it. Now, basically, Dave and Rachel have finished clutch it before Brendan, Rachel, Art and JJ, and Vanessa and Ralph have made it to their detours because she was so fast at the roadblock. They go straight to the pit stop, Dave and Rachel. They're the first team in. Brendan and Rachel, Art and JJ go to cricket, and Brendan is the first one to hit the cricket ball past the boundary. And then JJ hits it, and then it's Rachel and Art vying for who's going to hit it first. And, JJ's pretty confident that Rachel's not going to hit it out, and she does. And so she gets to go first. They leave, and they're heading to the pit stop. Art and JJ are waiting for Art to hit the ball. I don't know how much time had elapsed, but they weren't right on Brendan and Rachel's heels. Now, over at Clutch It, Vanessa and Ralph were learning how to drive this rickshaw. Now, they left the Bollywood roadblock before Brendan and Rachel and Art and JJ. But they arrived to the pit stop after Art and JJ. So their edit of their rickshaw experience made it seem like they had no problems whatsoever. But clearly they did, because 2 teams had to hit these balls in cricket, which seemed like a more difficult task. And they left the Bollywood thing after Vanessa and Ralph and arrived to the pit stop before them. So the edit on that made it seem like they did such a great job. But clearly they didn't, because it took them so much longer. Now let's hit Mark and Bopper. And if you didn't have an emotional moment during this show, you're a cold-hearted freak. Because Mark and Bopper, God love them. First of all, no matter how bad things get between them, they don't treat each other like crap. Never. They call each other blood. I got you, blood. They take care of each other. And here's Mark. on attempt 8, attempt 9, attempt 10, attempt 11. He looks like a wilted piece of spaghetti. He's got nothing left in him. And Mark is saying, and Bopper's saying, look, we can call it quits. I care about you more than I care about winning. So Bopper doesn't want to quit, but he's got nothing left in him. Mark doesn't want to quit, but he's got nothing left in him. So he comes down and he just decides, look, I've lost. I'm going home to my kids. I'm not going to keep trying to do this and kill myself for nothing. When he's in the tent, apparently, I'm not quite sure how this worked out, but someone lit a fire under Bopper and the dance coach. And they go in and they get him and they're like, come on, try one more time. Now, just a few minutes before that, you know, good old Bopper was saying, I care about you more. And now he's saying, do it for your kids. Show them that you didn't quit. And you got to wonder who didn't say, hey, you got to finish this, you know. So it's very emotional. They finish. They're showing each other how much they care about each other. They make it to the mat. They're crying. There's this, and the girl from India is standing there next to Phil. I'm not sure if she understood a word they said, but I thought she was going to start crying too, just from these two grown men standing on the mat telling each other how much they loved each other. And lo and behold, it was another non-elimination leg, and Mark and Bopper make it to the next leg. They have a speed bump to get through, and they're probably significantly behind everybody else. I don't know how many hours behind they are, but, you know, significant amount. And they were just, you know, people like Mark and Bopper because of the way they treat each other and the way they treat other racers. They're not out to get anybody. They're not making snappy comments. You know, Vanessa showed up at the pit stop right behind Art and JJ, and she bounced on there, and and Phil says, you're the 4th team to arrive, and she goes, wow, and she looks at her boyfriend, who makes kind of a like, oh boy, face, and it cut off right there. But you go back and watch that, and that's a, wow, Brendan and Rachel beat us, wow. That's not a, wow, we made it to the race. It's a, wow, Brendan and Rachel are ahead of us. I think they thought for sure they were going to be team number 3 because they were popping in behind Art and JJ, and they got a little surprised. But the reason people love Mark and Bopper is they're not like that. They're just not like that, and they're kind to each other, and they're fun to watch. We get to see them at least one more week, and maybe they'll get through this speed bump because there's some issues going on. Vanessa falls next week. We don't know how badly she's injured because I'm a little injury phobic at this point. Anybody who falls on Dancing with the Stars or anything, there's nothing wrong with these people when they fall 90% of the time, so I don't get all excited about it. And then I'm wondering if Brendan and Rachel get a fast forward next week. Because there's a clip with them, and she has to decide whether or not she's going to cut off her hair. But Art and JJ have already used their fast forward. Dave and Rachel have already used their fast forward. So Brendan and Rachel would have the first opportunity of any team to get the fast forward next week because they're in 2nd place. So they could get to the fast forward before anybody else and use it. So I'm wondering if that's going to come into play next week. Alright, I think that's about it. Love Mark and Bopper. Love Brendan and Rachel. Like Rachel, of Dave and Rachel. Art and JJ had a better week this week. I'll give them that. Alright, that's all. Night.